everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Trailhead this week. We've got some great guests this week. Her name is Sarah Berkeley with Symbiosis Gear. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to have you on. I know we have a different range of companies on here all the time. And we had talked a little bit on Instagram and wanted to just get to know a little more about you and the fact that, you're making backpacks and a specific type of backpack. And I thought it would be great to have you on and just talk more about your background, how you came up with your product, the ups and downs and stuff like that. So I guess without further ado, go ahead straight into, who you are, what you do, and how you came up with this, your bag.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm Sarah Berkeley and I'm the founder of Symbiosis Gear. We make backpacking gear for people with boobs. And I'm
That's why
based,
I was like, oh, my wife would love this.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I'm based in Leadville, Colorado, and I started the business. I founded in 2022 and launched our first product, the Aspen, which is an ultralight frameless pack
Yeah.
in spring of 2024. Um, so we've had a product on the market for just about 2 years now. Um, I came up with this because I'm a through hiker and I went through 3 backpacks on the PCT. Like none of them fit my body very well.
Yeah.
I was getting lighter and lighter, and I would see all these guys with these cute little ultralight packs, and then I'd get up close, and there would be, like, a sternum strap that didn't slide up and down at
Yeah.
all, and I was like, "I'm not gonna order that online and, like, find out it doesn't work for
Yeah.
my body." So, like, I emailed one company, I was like, "Hey, can you just, like, make a small tweak to that pack? That's so cool, and, make more adjustability in the sternum strap." And they didn't even write back, and
Oh,
so I felt really excluded and frustrated and, like, so there I was carrying, a 60-liter pack that weighed, like 20 pounds total.
yeah.
So, um, that was 2019. I sat on the idea for a couple of years before I decided to start the business.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kinda hoped somebody else would do it. Um, and they didn't, and I still needed a backpack, so, I went ahead and started the business myself.
Awesome. So did you do the whole PCT?
I did the whole PCT, yeah.
That's awesome. So jealous. That sounds like an awesome adventure. I gotta one day. We'll do it one day. But that's cool. So I think the great thing about hearing about cottage brands, smaller businesses, is you have a problem and you figure out a solution to it. And like you just said, you were hoping somebody would do it, and then you're waiting and waiting. And sometimes it's just because a bigger company, it's not as big a viable of a market for them, or they're just not even thinking about it. And that someone didn't email you back, you're like, at least they could do. I hate it when people just want to at least email you back and say, sorry, we can't do that. I'm like, just at least send me an email back. um so at what point did you go, okay, I need to, because is from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, yours is more the strap construction, but I'm sure the bag construction has to follow the straps, right? You can't just throw a different strap on something. You still got to create everything. So, like, how many versions did you go through, or how did you start going about doing it, or in the testing phases and stuff like that?
Yeah, that took 2 years, so it definitely took a long time
Wow.
and a lot of iterations on that,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I started with a pattern from my buddy I met on the PCT who made his own backpacks, and then, I hired somebody to make the first prototype.
Yeah.
I cut it apart and redid the straps myself, put them back on. Then I worked with some consultants, got their input. In hindsight, it was not that helpful. I could
Yeah.
have done without them and saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, as this is part of my journey and story too, is like just trusting myself and my
Yeah.
experience and myself as the expert, and not always going to the male experts who are, touted as such.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I got that. Then I sent that prototype to a factory, and then we iterated like another 6 times from there.
Okay. So, I guess my question is then, so do you at what part of your bags do you hand make versus do you get made, or did you kind of flop back and forth between those?
Yeah, great question. So I have a background in art. I was an artist for 20 years.
Okay.
And there was a moment I was in a studio late at night making multiples of this sculpture that was selling, and I was like, "How does this scale?" And I just pictured like, "Oh, okay, it scales by me designing one thing and hiring a bunch of people to make multiples." And I was like, "This is not what I want for my art
Yeah.
career." I was much more interested in ideas and concepts. So then I went to grad school and I started making conceptual art, and I was an art professor. So I have 2 business models there for art. One was, like, selling products, and the other one is the patron model of the university. In 2018, I decided to leave my position as a professor, and I'm getting around to answering your question, by the way.
No, you're good.
That's a long intro. So, reason I bring that up is that was really my first business, was being
Yeah.
an artist. I didn't think of it as a business per se, and there was this kind of, like, tension between, what do I want this thing to do in the world, and, like,
Mhm.
what do I want my experience of making to be, and how am I gonna keep putting food on the table?
Yeah.
Um, so I did that, and then when I quit my professor job, I was like, "Okay, what other business models are there?" And I looked into the gallery model and so on and so forth, and finally, I just was like, "The art world is not set up for artists to be financially successful,"
Yeah.
and I founded a web design business, 'cause I had a background in web design, I was teaching web design. It's easy for me, a lot of people need help with that, and I enjoyed it. So I had a service-based business then,
Yeah.
and I thought about, how do you scale this? And couple ways, one, you can do high-end bespoke work. You can replace yourself and have an agency essentially, or you can
Mhm.
productize. And I ended up settling on high-end bespoke work. So then when I came to Symbiosis Gear, I had those 2 experiences behind me of 2 other business models,
Okay.
and I knew I did not wanna be sewing all day, every day.
Yeah.
And the mission of the business is to be in every outdoor store on the planet. Like, we
Yeah.
should have women-specific gear in all outdoor stores.
Yeah.
To reach that goal, I felt like I would grow slower if I was making the products myself.
Yeah.
I love businesses that do that. It's such a beautiful thing. That's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want
Yeah.
to have long lead times. I wanted people to be able to order it online today and get it next week, and
Yeah.
want people to be able to try it on in all these stores. So, um, yeah, so that's why I started from the beginning with hiring professionals who have
Yeah.
more experience making these specific types of things.
Yeah.
That said, I'm coming back to, like, maybe more of a middle ground where I wanna be doing more of the prototyping myself
Yeah.
and get my hands in there. There are a lot of other parts to running a business, so it's sometimes hard to find time to, like, sit down at the sewing machine and play around and be in that creative space.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's next product, I'm gonna prototype it myself.
Yeah. That's cool. I like the fact that you say, like, if you go to any store, right, you'll see a women's section and you'll have a bunch of different women's fitted clothing, and then you have a men's section with all that. So you would think that, we would have bags that would be shaped for women and shaped for men, because I can't tell you how many bags everybody, I'm sure you've tried on tons of bags. I've tried on tons of bags. There's just some bags I love. They look cool, but they just don't
Mm,
fit me very well, right? And that's my wife. I always, hey, take this bag and wear this bag, and then she'll always complain about something, and I just tell her to suck it up, because I just assume, and I forget. So it's a great reminder that, like, there's all these shapes out there, and that you're doing something to cater to women who need a bag that's going to fit them properly. So so I guess my question now is, like, the starting of your business to now, what kind of growth have you seen, or what kind of good kind of uphill climbs that you've seen, and what are some downhills that you're like, oh man, this is a lot harder than I thought because of that.
yeah, I'm learning all the time, so yes. Yes, there are definitely some hard things, definitely some missteps. Starting with the positive, we've gotten some really good, like, awards,
Yeah.
reviews. That's been amazing. Um, I gave a pack to Double Dip, Katie Jackson,
Uh,
in 2024. She
mhm.
came down to CDT days with me and helped me with my booth, and afterward, I was like, "Hey, do you want a pack in exchange for helping me?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm starting this CDT in a couple days. I don't like, and I was like, "Look, I'll just give you one, try it. You don't have to use it."
Yeah.
She tried it. She absolutely loved it. She's become a huge fan of the brand. Told so many people about it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Swiss Cake. I met her on the CDT when I was hiking it in 2024, and she bought the pack mid-trail, switched her pack, and last year she worked, like, 6 booths with me, and
Oh,
to
well.
hear these women talk to other women about their
Yeah.
experience with it, that means so much to me, it's like, "Okay, it's not just me, and this product actually works."
Yeah.
So, that's been incredibly validating, and
Yeah.
really exciting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, on the challenge side, well, of course, there's, like, big things out of my control, like tariffs and
Yeah.
things like that. I'm also learning to be, like, a better negotiator
Mhm.
with the factory and suppliers, so not everybody knows, like, they make the fabric custom for me,
Yeah.
so there's a minimum order on that,
Yeah.
and I didn't know I could negotiate that for the first run, so I have fabric sitting in a factory in Vietnam, like a lot of it.
Yeah.
So there's that, which is, that's my cash tied up in
Yeah.
supplies that, like, if I
Yeah.
had had that business savvy and knowledge beforehand,
Yeah.
I would have that cash in hand to do other things with. So that's been kind of a learning curve. Same on the minimum order quantities for the bags. Like, I met somebody who her first order from China was 5,000 units. And so when my factory said 500, I was like, oh, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
So I ordered 500 packs. And then the kind of like, oh crap moments were when it was being delivered, there was 2 pallets of backpacks going into my storage space. And I was like, oh no, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then Garage Grown Gear picked me up pretty early, and I was talking
That's great.
to Lloyd, and he was like, "How much inventory do you have on hand?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've got like 400 some backpacks." He was like, "Oh, I think you have more backpacks on hand than we do." And I was like, "Uh-oh,
Oh, wow.
uh-oh."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there was a bit of a mismatch there in terms of my desire for the product, and I
Mhm.
did some market research. People were super excited about this brand.
Yeah.
But not as many people were excited specifically about a frameless ultralight backpack for
Yeah.
women. A backpack, yes, but not specifically that. So,
Yeah.
long story short, it's taking longer to sell through that original inventory than I had
Mhm.
hoped, and I've had cash tied up in it that has slowed my growth in other ways.
Yeah. I I that's a great point that you made about the not knowing that you can negotiate and everything else. I'm learning a lot myself, talking to people about, you start this and you go to create things, and it's great to have I wonder if there's somehow for people in the future where they have it before they go into that realm, where they can have a mentor, so to speak, to be like, hey, these are some things you need to do so you're not over ordering things, or realizing that you can negotiate a lot of stuff beforehand, because that supply chain thing is really rough when you've never done it before, and now you're talking to people that it's a completely different culture and it's a completely different thing, and you're trying to figure it all out, that whole landscape. So at least you didn't have to order 5,000, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and you bring up a really good point about mentorship, and I did have a mentor, Kay from Boko Gear, who
Yeah.
said to me, she was like, "I don't wanna come to your house in 2 years and see a garage full of backpacks," and, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Um, but, like, there's, like, all these details within that of, like, I didn't think 500 was that many. I thought
Yeah.
I was doing well, and then also I all those points in between of, like, each type of fabric I could have negotiated on, and I didn't know. They were just like, "Here's the cost," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay. Let's find the money for that?"
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think so. My wife, she's from South Korea, and so I know that, like, with Koreans, if I buy something at the store that's a large thing, they'll usually give me 2 or 3 things for free, just as it's like it's a gimme. And so when I worked at Apple for like 2 or 3 years, and people would come in, and when I was working sales at first, people would come in, and they would come in and buy a laptop, and they would ask me if they get a free computer case. And I was like, no, no, you're just buying it. And then I had to go home to my wife, and my wife would be like, oh, that's just our culture. You buy something like that, you expect to get something. And so when I'm negotiating with my clients um, all over the world, I have to kind of do a little research into, okay, this is the norm for them to almost double the price. And then I have to come back and give them like 50% of that. And then we try to find this random middle ground that I'm like, I would much rather just say, you give me the number, this is the number. I hate that back and forth, but yeah, it's something you have that I think we all learn, and sometimes the hard way or the easy way. But at least you have bags. Like 'cause some people, when I talk to them, they're having a hard time because either they're, it's make your own gear, and they're basically doing a bag at a time versus you have a supply that you can say, hey, you order it, like you said, at least you can get it in someone's hand right away instead of saying, okay, it's going to be 8 weeks when they're going to hit the trail in a week, because I think a lot of us, we kind of last minute go, oh, I just need to go hiking, or I just need to go on a trip to get my brain free and stuff like that. So that's great. Um, so when I've seen that you have some accessories and stuff like that as well, but just going back to the bag, what? Because I don't have one here. I have them on the screen usually, but beforehand. But so, what specifically makes your bags different? If for people who are listening, maybe not watching, that are different from the typical bag.
Yeah, so the S-curve straps really are S-curve, so they go out and around the boobs. They're also narrower than on a lot of unisex or men's packs, so they fit
Okay.
your shoulders better. Like I had one pack on the PCT, the shoulder straps were wide and straight, so they sat over my rotator cuffs, and I couldn't really move my arms. So then I like ditched my trekking poles, and then I found myself hanging off the side of a mountain by my fingertips because I'd slipped because I didn't have trekking poles. So,
Oh wow.
it's not just a comfort issue, it's really a safety issue too. They have pack that
Yeah.
fits. And I met women who have like, permanent nerve damage in their shoulders from backpack straps not fitting well. So those are two things. A third one is that the sternum strap fits in anywhere along the shoulder straps. So that fits
Okay.
a really wide range of body shapes and sizes. So there's a lot of adjustability in this pack because there's so many variables in women's bodies. Like you might have big boobs, small waist, wide hips,
Yeah.
or you might have tiny boobs, big belly, narrow hips. So there's just like kind of infinite number of variables there. And
Yeah.
um, so yeah, lots of adjustability. The waist belt goes up to like a triple X size and all the way down as tiny as a human can be. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, those are a few of these features.
That's cool because now that I'm thinking about it, my wife, she gets really sore shoulders all the time. And, usually I'm shifting her weight obviously down to her hips, but she's always talking about her shoulders. And I just thought it was just her shoulders always going to be like that. But now I'm thinking maybe I need to give her different things to try because I realized that, her body is completely different than mine is. And that weight is shifting differently. Because even the width of it, I didn't even think about the width of the shoulder straps too. Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think it's kind of a misconception. There is that idea that women should carry more weight on their hips, and I feel like some guy just made that up, like, was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, women have wider hips, let's put some stuff on 'em." You know? Like and the whole, like, ultralight frameless idea is you're carrying your pack higher.
Yeah.
So, really, the weight is, like, kind of sandwiched between your shoulder blades a lot.
Okay.
For me, that carries really well, and then my mid back and my hips are free to move, which makes it a lot easier for scrambling or going under logs or over things or
Yeah.
whatever. It's a really different type of feel than what most people are used to for a backpacking
Yeah.
backpack, but I find it works really well for me, and my customers also love it too.
That's cool. So I guess for a woman who's trying to get that pack, is there an easy way for them? Because I know sometimes the biggest hurdle can be someone trying it on without having to do a full purchase and return or whatever. So is that something that you find as a hurdle, or have you found a way around that, or how does that pitch work?
Yeah, that's one reason I do a lot of wholesale, like, was doing sales calls today on the East Coast, and,
Yeah.
it's important to me to be in as many retailers as possible, so not only do women see it and feel welcome in the outdoor
Mhm.
industry, they have the opportunity to try it. Um, I did have kind of a funny, maybe not so funny business growth story. I did have a try before you buy option on my website where people
Uh-huh.
could order it, try it. If you like it, you keep it and then you get charged a couple weeks later. If you don't,
Yeah.
send it back, no charge. But I got scammed. So I got scammed by an app that did the try before but you buy thing.
Oh, no.
And yeah, sent out a bunch of packs and never got paid. I don't know what they did with the packs. I don't really know
Yeah.
how this scam works. I'm like, are
Yeah.
they I was, like, looking on the ultralight Reddit, like, on eBay, like, are they, like, trying to sell them like, secondhand? I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah, so, um, yeah,
I've never even
growing
heard of that.
pains.
That's crazy. I can't so did it just come through as, like, a separate order here and there, and it ended up sounding like they were different people? Is that how it worked?
They were different people, different shipping addresses. Yep, yep, and then we went back to Shopify and we're like, "Hey, that app that you had on there turned out to be a scam," and it was completely gone. Like, they weren't answering their emails, and they did it over, like, Black Friday too, so
Yeah.
yeah, they're just, like, fly by night people. Yeah.
There's evil people out there, you know? I just don't understand how people can do the things that they do sometimes. It's wild.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, especially to pick on a little tiny woman-owned business, that's just starting up, like, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talk a lot about with a lot of people on this show is that, um, people think that when they see a website with products and everything else, they assume it's like a giant team of people behind it and everything, and they might not go to your about me section and realize it's just you, and so they think it's this big company when in reality 95% of the time it's just like you, maybe one other person, doing everything. And so they don't realize that they're hurting that one person by quite a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
heard you say that on another episode, and I really appreciated that. I was like, "Yes!" And it is this funny thing of, like, you're trying to look really professional, do the
yeah,
marketing, and there was a point where I was like, "I think it's looking too professional." People think
yeah,
that we're, like, bigger than we are, which,
yeah,
in some like, I do want people to trust the brand, and I am very professional and,
yeah,
and I do have an assistant but also it is mostly just me, like you
yeah,
said. Yeah.
yeah. No, when you're going through it by yourself too, it's that you got to watch that fine line of marketing yourself so that people connect with you, but then not market it so much that people go, "Oh, it's just a person," and then they don't take you seriously either. So, yeah, it's interesting. When I did our wedding photography, at one point we were growing, kind of like you were talking about earlier. I can go the boutique way and basically charge a lot more, or I can like be the boss and then sub out a bunch of people. And we decided we're going to do the weddings all on our own, and then we're not going to contract out a bunch of photographers and then me sit here and not do everything. It was hard. It was is great. I'm busy still, but then I also can't do as many weddings. But then in the end, I might be making more money, but the actual bottom line, I'm actually not making anymore because I've got to pay payroll and medical and insurance and all this stuff. And then more money, more problems, and more people, more problems.
Yeah, it is a funny thing about scaling a business. Like I was just talking to, I don't know if you heard of Nunatech. They are also here in Leadville and they
Okay.
do really cool, like custom puffy jackets and sleeping bags and stuff. And they shared exactly the same thing. There was a point when they had a bunch of employees and then, but their, net profit was less than it
Yeah.
is when they have just the two of them and like
Yeah.
a few contractors. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, was there a moment when you first started doing the bag where you were like, "Oh, wow, this is actually, like, look, this is actually working." Where maybe you finally got your first sale or two and you're like, "Oh, people really want to purchase what I'm making, what I have to say."
Yeah, I mean, there were moments along even just testing it myself, I was like,
Yeah.
"Aha! This is actually what I've been dreaming of for
Yeah.
years." And then, yeah, the validation of, like, the first order coming in from somebody that you don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, who is this person?"
Yeah.
That's
You're
a
like
really
Googling
exciting
them like,
moment.
"Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, who is this?"
Are they a friend of a friend?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah, and even still, I feel like yeah, curious about these folks and, I'm very accessible on Instagram and stuff, so a lot of folks do chat with me first
Yeah.
through Instagram, or I meet them at an event, or, they are coming through referrals. But yeah, that first, like, person I didn't know ordering was a big moment.
Yeah. That's cool. So I guess going into that, are there any cool stories, like maybe customer testimonials or reviews that like hit you really hard that were like, oh, this was awesome, you know?
Yeah, somebody wrote a review about how she had, I think she said, like, H cup breasts, something very big that I was like, "Is that?"
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that, okay. And has kids, and she's day hiking with her kids, and loves the big water bottle pockets for all the kid stuff.
Okay.
And that was a great aha moment for me because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, this pack has utility way beyond the thru hiker kids,"
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
grown-ups.
Yeah.
Um, and, that was a big aha moment, and also, yeah, just felt really good that she took it and tried it and, used it for another application.
Yeah. That's great to hear. Like, because sometimes you create a product and you intend it for one thing. And then next thing you know, you're like, man, I have like three or four other markets that are amazing or potentially sometimes even better. And next thing you know, you end up pivoting your product to come something completely different that you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that everybody that's buying my product is doing something completely off the cuff of what I thought was possible. So and
Yeah,
that's really,
totally.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah, people have also used it for, like, putting skis on the sides of it.
Yeah.
Um, you do that, and somebody else used it for business travel a lot and messaged me. It was like, "You know what the great thing is? I can go in the airport bathroom and I can pee without taking my backpack off."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
um, so I guess my next question is then, how do you stay balanced being in the outdoor space when you're running your business? Because you're running, two businesses, right? You're doing your other business, you're doing Symbiosis. How do you stay connected to the outdoors? Because I mean, it sounds like you're doing phone calls, because you're doing everything. So you're doing phone calls, you're doing sales calls, you're doing trade shows and everything else. And you probably get overwhelmed sometimes. So how do you stay connected to the outdoors?
Yeah, well, living in Leadville makes it easier.
Yeah, a
I'm
lot
looking
easier.
out, yeah, I'm look out my window at Mount Massive and Mount Elbert every day, so
Wow.
start my day with that view and a cup of coffee. So that's, keeps me grounded in that sort of
Yeah.
like a bigger sense of reality. Um, yeah, I hike and I run and I bike and I ski and, do fun things outside.
Yeah.
Um, it is a little harder to take longer trips at this point
Yeah.
than before. So 2024, I just when I the year I launched the Aspen, I did hike half of the CDT and I was really torn out there because I was like, "Oh, I just started this business that I love. It's peak sales season. I want to
Yeah.
be selling.
Yeah.
Also, this like the business is only going to get bigger. I might as well take the time to do this through hike now."
Yeah.
And really test the gear also, like, take it
Yeah.
on a through hike myself, a long one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tricky. The local shipping office here, I have an arrangement with them where they can ship orders for me when I'm not here.
Hmm.
It's not completely hands off yet on my
Yeah.
end, but we're getting there. When we get there, that's gonna be a huge milestone.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other piece is answering customer emails and questions that I don't have, set up yet. So this summer, I'm gonna need to take some time off. So I may just put, autoresponder, "I'm on trail. Sorry, like, I gotta get outside.
Yeah.
Please be patient."
Yeah.
Um, you know, so yeah, it is super important to still make time for that.
Do you know, and this just popped in my head, the percentage, and it's funny, I don't actually know this number. I'm sure I could get it very easily, but the percentage of women versus men on trail. So I'm just thinking like product testing, depending on the percentage, it might be easier, it might be harder than you had thought.
Yeah, it depends on the trail, like, in
Yeah.
terms of long trails and so on, and that data is a little bit squishier than what you can get from, like, the Outdoor Industry Association does a
Hmm.
lot of nice studies.
Yeah.
So, really, in terms of outdoor activities, women are 50% or more,
Yeah.
and hiking and backpacking are like the biggest activity for women. So yeah, we're a huge part of the market and a
Yeah.
huge part of the participants in those activities. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because when I was on the AT filming some stuff, I mean, it was easily 50% of the people I was running into were women. And so when I had gone hiking last summer, um, I was with some guys and they have a backpacking company and they're seeing their product actually out on trail. And it's so cool. Like we were there with the people who created the bag and you walk by someone who's got the bag and it's like firsthand, like we're running into somebody and then they were like, oh, well, there was a small tear on this one spot. So then we stopped and we had this huge long conversation with the guy and he's able to kind of tell us how it happened and everything else. And then they can go back and look at it and go, oh, it's the material or it's this. So, you going out on a hike versus, those women that you had given the bag to, and they're able to do it. So were you able to get some good feedback? I know that you already have those bags, but do you have in your mind, like, I could tweak this or this doesn't need to be tweaked for like the next iteration if you are going to have an iteration?
Mhm. Yeah, I actually just sent, specs to my factory for the Aspen 2.0.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, super stoked for those little tweaks. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's super important, like, to have people with different types of bodies, different hiking
Is
styles,
it?
different gear setups to try it out and get feedback, yeah. Oh, and I people will email me too, and I love hearing from everybody what their experience is.
Yeah. I think it's good to be able to take that feedback and grow from it instead of get offended by it. And it sounds like you're really knowledgeable. I'm like, hey, tell me because I need to know so I can make it better. Not, no, I'm not going to change it. You know, those people that they'll create something and they're so hard headed and they're on Shark Tank and then Shark Tank's telling you, you just need to not be doing this product. You need to be doing this product. And they're like, no, no, but this is the product. And they're like, no, this is the product.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is like, you gotta know what your North Star is,
Yeah.
and then you can everything around that can change.
Yeah.
And, people ask me for things that I would love to do, but just maybe are not financially feasible, or there's not a big enough market for it, or, um, I get emails from men like, "Are you gonna make a men's pack?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have a lot of options already."
Yeah.
But I'm like, "Well, if maybe I just make an extra large version of the pack."
Yeah.
That's kind of definitely serving women first is the North Star.
Yeah.
Does it have to be only women? No. Like, the fanny pack we just launched
Yeah.
is unisex, and there'll be more
Yeah.
unisex accessories, so,
Yeah.
just as long as, like, women's bodies come first in our
Yeah.
designs, that's the North Star. Yeah.
I think that's good. You really put your mission out there, which is to help women in the backcountry, versus but we're still willing to make these things versus some people who are like, this is the only thing that I do. And you're open to it. I mean, it's just like you could literally go, well, there's plenty of other companies that say they only make men's packs and the market's not there for women, but you can bring the numbers to them and say, hey, the numbers are there. It's not like they're not out there. And I go out with my wife all the time, my daughters all the time. There's women on the trail all the time. So I don't know how people think there's not like a ton of women out there, you
Yeah,
know?
totally. Yeah.
So I was actually shopping for new hiking gear for my daughter because my mentality is wearing like tighter clothes when you're hiking, but she wants like those new, like the baggy pants and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I think it looks ridiculous, but then she's like, "I'll go out hiking with you if I look really good in it." And I'm like, "Okay, I will I will bow down to the fashion style that you want to wear. That's fine. I don't know if we're going to be doing scrambling in those pants." But she's like, "No, but they cinch up and you can do this and this with it." And I'm like, "See, I didn't even think about that. I just thought they were puffy pants."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, totally.
I could bring my
Yeah.
MC Hammer pants out from back in the day. Just aged myself right there for sure. Um, Okay, so I guess kind of winding down to a couple other questions I have is, um, what's the weirdest, most, and I kind of like this one. It's more of a story than a business question, but what's the weirdest, most unexpected place maybe your product has ever shown up so far?
Mm. I don't know if I have an answer for that. Um,
Maybe it's that mom
uh,
doing those day hikes.
monitoring the day hikes. Well, I was also thinking about like, where are those packs that I got scammed on? Like,
Yeah,
unknown.
that's
If
true.
anybody listening sees
Y
them, like, on eBay or what, let me
Yeah.
know. Like, what are these men doing with those packs out there, that they got for free? So that's a question hanging out there. And then, yeah, Double Dip's pack got stolen out of her car, so
Oh,
that
no.
who knows where that ended up. Hopefully, somebody's using it. But, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how people can steal stuff on the trail, like, you go, you park your car, or you go somewhere, and next thing you know, there's like 50 signs that say, "Don't leave stuff in the car." I'm like, "But I'm parking my car here for 2 weeks." Like, what like, there's gotta be something. I can't believe people drive all the way out here, break into my car, and then there ends up being nothing, and now it's soaking wet inside. And that's a whole
Yeah.
I could rant about that for days, but
Yeah, her car was it was actually in Denver, so my hope is
okay.
that it was a homeless person and that they're
Yeah.
using all that gear to improve their life.
Yeah, there you go. It went to a better place.
Hopefully.
Uh, okay, so if what does success look like for you now, and has that changed since the beginning?
Hmm. Yeah, at the beginning, I was very committed to, like, we're a women's ultralight brand,
Yeah.
and I realized that's a very small niche, and, um, now I'm more about serving women in the outdoors, really alleviating suffering, like, physically, and then
Yeah.
also just the suffering of going into a store and not seeing stuff for you and feeling excluded. So that means, we've got a day pack launching in the fall. We do the fanny pack. We're gonna do a frame pack that's like a 55-liter type of still on the
Oh,
lighter
cool.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the ultralight frameless. We've got that with
Mhm.
Aspen. So, serving a broader market of women and not just, like, through hikers. Like, I wanted to be this, ultra cool, ultra light
Yeah.
little brand, and there are not a lot of women in that space.
Yeah.
Like, there are way more women who are doing day hikes or hiking with their kids or going
Mhm.
backpacking with a little bit heavier kit. Um, so yeah, so that's changed. That focus has changed. Let go of the ultra light only mission.
Yeah.
Serving women is the mission. And yeah, success, well, being profitable, not there yet.
Yeah.
And I mean, as much as I love the other work I do, being able to let go of that and focus 100% on Symbiosis Gear, those are the next two
Yeah.
milestones for me. Yeah.
That's great. I think the most fulfilling part is when you get to kind of it's sad, but it's also happy when you get to go 100% into what you're, like, super passionate about, and sometimes you have to do, like, that double, triple grind with jobs in order to get your ideas and passions off the ground and stuff like that, and there's not a lot of people out there because a lot of people have I mean, I'm sure you do as much as I do, talk to people all the time where they have great ideas, but they don't have the fortitude to push through and do that idea. Or if they do, they go gung ho into that idea, but they don't want to grind, and so they're like, oh, they just spend like 6 hours working on it, and then they're like, oh, why isn't that successful? And not always. You don't always have to go through a grind, but most of the time, you're gonna have to push through. Um, I don't know why I always refer to it like having kids and like even birthing a child. I've never birthed a child, but like I know from my wife having kids, that was a lot of work. I don't know. And you birth your baby, you finally have it, and it was that huge grind, and now you're like raising that kid and stuff like that. And for you to pivot like that's really great. And it's not so much you're changing your whole vision, you're just tweaking it ever so slightly and going, okay, I realize that we're helping out a lot of people, not just that ultralight community, but women as a whole. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's really cool. So, I
Yeah.
guess
Totally.
what advice would you give, for someone on the trailhead of their business who's starting out a business? Maybe some advice on what not to do, or maybe some stuff that they should do.
Mhm. Well, I think going back to what you said, it is a lot of work for little or no money for a long time.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm 4 years in to this massive volunteer project. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't pay myself. Yeah. So we'll get there. But yeah, so that would be one thing of, like, be willing to put in the time and the effort. Um, find out how much money it's gonna cost to do the thing.
Yeah.
Um, market research is really important. Like, I got some really good validation up front. Like, we got, like, 200 responses in the first week of a survey saying, "Yes, we want this brand."
Yeah.
Um, but as I mentioned before, like, I could have drilled down a little bit more into what people actually wanted.
Yeah.
Could have been a second survey, like, those things really help too. Mentorship is incredible. Founded Outdoors has been really hugely helpful for me. So it's a free group, where I've learned a lot and gotten a lot of support and knowledge through that and, peer connections and networking
Yeah.
as well. So it's a
Yeah.
great resource. Yeah.
Do you know of any resources where people can get, because I think like that survey you said is so great where people can get statistics and stuff like that. Because I think people want to start it, but they don't know where to start to find um, any kind of numbers. They Google it and stuff like that, but are there any resources for people if they're looking for that?
Yeah, the Outdoor Industry Association provides some, they provide some for free, and then there's some only for members, but those stats are really interesting. Even the
Yeah.
free ones are pretty substantial. And then some of the trail organizations, have surveys as well where you can if you wanna know specifically about through hiking and so
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Mhm.
Because when I went to the AT and I'm doing this like video series that I was trying to post very consistently because I'm about an hour. I've started about 45 minutes from the start of the AT, and um, I wanted to go up there and ask people like, "Hey, I love your setup. What are your big three?" Right? And I would love to stop and talk to everybody about like everything that they have, but I was like, "Oh, their big three at least is a fun kind of a hook and stuff like that." And it was interesting hearing what I thought people were going to have on trail, and then what they actually said they had on trail. I was surprised. And again, I'm at the beginning of the trail, so no one's really done a shakedown yet to really modify their gear. And I'm like, wow, a lot of more people have a uh, big Agnes versus what I thought they would have. And then as they do the shakedown, I would go to the store up on trail and then talk to people. And they're like, yeah, I just swapped out this quilt for this sleeping bag for this quilt, or I did this and that and the other. And I'm hearing all these numbers. And I'm like, oh, I love statistics. So, um, and I know that they take statistics down at the start of the trail. But it's really cool to hear that, and then you can get it to a point where you can go, oh, I'm hearing these women reaching out saying, I need this. So, what kind of questions would you ask like in your next survey?
Mm, mm. Yeah, good question. Yeah, so in my first one, I asked one of the questions was, "How do you feel about a women-specific backpacking gear company?"
Yeah,
94% said, "It's about damn time."
yeah,
And so that was really validating.
yeah.
And that 6% mostly didn't say yes because I had an option to write in your own answer. And
Okay.
some of the people were like, "Well, I don't believe in gendered stuff, and what about non-binary people?" Totally valid,
Yeah,
interesting responses.
yeah.
So, and I asked what packs people used, which really interesting. It was like 60% Osprey, which
Yeah,
makes
that's what I
sense.
saw a lot, even on the AT, is like Osprey, Osprey, Osprey. And I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Osprey, particularly because REI carries a lot of Osprey,
Yeah.
and they're cushy, they're comfy, they're great for getting started, and they have some really decent women-specific
Mhm.
packs, totally different design than what I offer.
Yeah.
Um, so great if you want that, great. Um, but, what I found from the survey was that a lot of women were using the Osprey because that's what was available, and that's what
Mhm.
they were sold at REI, not
Yeah.
because that's what they really wanted.
Yeah.
So that's where the missing piece was of like,
I
okay, what
gotcha.
do you actually want?
Yeah.
And it wasn't, so that part was just a little fuzzy
Yeah.
to, because I assumed, oh, you don't want an Osprey, so you want a frameless ultralight pack. And that's quite a leap to go from a 60-liter pack with the trampoline back and like cushy hip build and all of that to,
Yeah.
48-liter frameless.
Yeah. Um, I think that's a good. It's almost like sometimes you can feel like, when you go through hiking, or you're in the industry as a whole, or you're really engrossed in it, you can almost, and I can do this sometimes, where you forget that everybody else isn't engrossed in it, right? So they just go, like you said, they go in, and there's nothing wrong with an osprey, but they'll go, and that's what's available to them, and they go to that store that they have, and they don't realize the number of resources now that are out there for everybody, for through hiking to just doing a weekend warrior kind of a hike and stuff like that. And it's like, if there's a way that, like, people, I know there's the internet, of course, and chat and everything, but like, you know, you're like, oh, you see people and you go, oh, if they only knew that they could carry 10 pounds less than what they're carrying right now, they would enjoy it so much more. And so I'm like trying to figure out, how do we get that message out to some people when it comes to ultralight, or even just hiking in general. I know some of the gear can get expensive as you go more ultralight, but there are options out there to lighten your load, or even just the knowledge, so that you can go a little lighter. You don't need. I mean, I went on a hike, and my buddy, he brought his military shovel from the Marines that was like 7 pounds.
Yeah.
And we did this whole thing, and I was like, told him exactly what to bring. And he's okay with me telling him this and throwing him under the bus. But um, he brought that all because, you pack your fears, or you hear like you need to bring these things. And so we ended up ditching his shovel like the next day, because when we saw it, we were like, dude, you don't need that shovel. And then he had a book that he had brought that had like survival knots and everything else in it. And that was another like pound and a half. And I was like, man, we just saved you 10 pounds in weight just in a shovel and that. But it was a foldable one, so I didn't see it outside of his bag, or I would have already told him not to pack it when we had got out of the car.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my experiences were like that at the beginning. I went backpacking as a kid with my grandpa's
yeah,
same military shovel. The first aid kit was like a canvas bag, and
yeah,
everything inside it was in like these aluminum tins in there. The backpack was like canvas, like literally
yeah,
canvas.
yeah.
And the other backpack that I think one of my parents took was like one of those 70s ones with the external frame.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Maybe it was even 80s, I don't know.
yeah.
That one wasn't that bad, but yeah, my first through hike, I had a Gregory Diva pack, which weighed, I think,
Hmm.
6 pounds. I had a sleeping bag from the 90s that weighed almost 6 pounds, took up about half the pack.
Yeah,
And a lot of it, yeah, like you're saying, it was knowledge. I didn't
yeah,
know a lot. I also didn't want to spend the money. I was like, I don't know if I'm
yeah,
gonna like this.
yeah,
Like, you know, let me just go with what I've got.
yeah,
And I learned a lot on trail. And actually, like the first ultralight person I met was an older lady. Like she was retired, and that was kind of a cool intro to ultralight because I think people usually think it's like these cool young guys in their
yeah,
30s. And like as we get older, ultralight is so important. And even like if we want to be hiking when we're older, like
yeah.
doing it lighter
Yep.
now is a good strategy.
Yeah,
So yeah, she'd actually had an Osprey pack like custom fit for her because it didn't wasn't that comfortable. But
yeah,
yeah, she was super light, and I just learned a lot from her. Um, and I think that's like as you mentioned too, like learning on trail is kind of the best way to do it.
yeah. Especially when I mean, all you're doing is walking with someone for hours. You've got a lot of
Yeah,
talking to do, and
it's so
you meet a
true.
lot of people, and then you end up talking. I mean, all you talk about is gear, what you've been doing, and then you're like, "What are you gonna eat? What are we gonna eat? What are we gonna eat?" That's all we talk about. So,
So true. Yeah.
well, that's great. Okay, well, I mean, I I'm so fascinated with your bag and your product and stuff like that. And if people are listening and they're looking for your bag, where can we find your bag? I know you said you're in some stores. I don't know if you have a distributor page, or if it's just your website. I'm sure we can order it through your website. But how can we find Symbiosis Gear?
Yeah, symbiosisgear.com. I'm on Instagram also at Symbiosis Gear. And yeah, on the website, I list all the retailers where we're selling. Um, Fingers crossed there'll be a bunch more added in the next few months. Garage Grown Gear, as I mentioned, also carries our products. So yeah, super easy to find us.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's just go ahead right into the lightning round. So these are just some quick questions to get to know you a little bit more. And we've already heard that you did a lot of through hiking and stuff like that, and you're lucky enough to live in Leadville. So, um, I guess my first question I always like to ask people is your favorite national park.
Mm. Well, I feel like I have to say Rocky Mountain National Park because when I was 12, we moved from Michigan to Estes Park,
Okay.
and that's where I first got started. We had, like, required hiking every Saturday, and we'd hike with
Wow.
this older man from Colorado Mountain Club who would teach us all about the plants and the animals, and we'd go to hike to a lake and so on. So, to be honest, I kinda hated it when I was 12,
Yeah.
like, I was growing super fast, body was uncomfortable, growing out of the shoes every 2 days, and, um, yeah, but I'm so grateful for that experience and that knowledge and really appreciating the beauty that was there and
Yeah.
still is there.
It's funny how we appreciate it when we're older, but when you're younger, you're like, do I got to be outside again?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, this sucks. It's so hot, and now you're like, I could care less how hot it is. I'm not outside. All right. Biggest splurge you've made for your business outside of maybe buying your bags.
Hmm. Yeah, I hired a part-time marketing person to help me for
Okay.
a few months. So, yeah, we're currently on hiatus because business was really slow between December and March.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll be able to bring her back on soon. So that was
Awesome.
huge. Yeah.
All right. Next is tent, hammock, or cowboy camping.
Mm. Well, it depends on the situation. I've never hammocked, so I can say no to that.
Yeah.
I've tested out other people's hammocks, but I don't have one. Um, I love being able to go light enough to cowboy camp. That's
Yeah.
amazing, and knowing you're gonna have good weather and all of that. I do sleep better in my little cocoon of a tent, so that's my
Yeah.
usual preferred choice is a tent.
Okay. Next is worst trail snack you've ever tried.
So, when I was on the CDT, I sent myself a box with resupply, and it had wipes in it, and I got on trail, and I'm, like, eating the trail mix, tastes like wipes.
Oh no.
And then the oatmeal for breakfast tasted like wipes.
Oh
Everything
no.
tasted like wipes. I was like, "What are you gonna do?" Like, "You have to eat."
Yeah.
So, I'm just, like, holding my breath, trying not to inhale while I'm eating for
Oh
several
no.
days. It was rough, man. It's really
Wow. So
rough.
so do you have like PTSD anytime you use a wipe and
Uh-huh.
you can't eat or
Yeah, and even that particular kind of oatmeal is, like, turns my stomach. Yeah,
oh wow.
yeah.
That would be the worst because then you have like what 5 days of food and then you've got to eat wipes. Oh, that's gross. Um, what's your favorite trail snack?
Mm. I'm really boring with that, which is trail mix with a lot of M&Ms.
Yeah, chocolate is the way to go. I'm a chocolate
Chocolate,
hound.
salt, and fat, you get it all in the trail mix.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you could collab with any brand, who would it be?
Mm. Oof. Oof. Um, well, there are a few. There's a really cool ski backpack brand here called Raid. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Uh-huh.
I think that could be a really cool collaboration to
Yeah.
add our, like, women-specific straps to their, like, packs that are made for, all the epic backcountry skiing that
Yeah,
people do around here. Yeah.
that's cool. Okay, last thing you Googled related to your business.
Stores. Yeah. Doing doing a sales trip out east soon, so Googling outdoor stores on the
Okay.
East Coast along the AT. Yeah.
Are you gonna be at the trail days?
I am, yeah, are you?
Fingers crossed. I keep
Okay.
telling everybody I'm gonna be there, so I better be there, but
Yeah.
it depends if I get a gig because I also do like a bunch of photography here, and so weekends and I can't remember that. It's a weekday or weekend. I can't remember, but
It's a weekend, but
uh,
it starts on Friday, so
yeah.
yeah.
So I might drive up there. I have it on the calendar and it's all booked, so I'm hoping to see everybody there. So,
Awesome.
um, That'd be cool. And I guess my last question is, what's something you're still learning as a leader?
Mm, mm. Yeah, well, I mentioned before this kind of self-trust, and
Mhm.
self-confidence. That's one for sure. And there's a balance between listening to mentors and also leading with confidence.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned in the pivot situation, like listening for feedback from other folks and then staying true to yourself and your
Yeah.
vision, that's a balance because it's not always clear. Like there's not generally in business, there's no right answer.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just choices and consequences.
Yeah. What you said is really good because before we got on, we were talking about Cocodona and like Rachel, she just won overall. She won first place, right? And then I watched her interview and she was like, I was really down on myself, kind of talking myself down, like, you're out front. Why should you be out front? Like you're pushing yourself too hard and stuff like that. It's like, but she was like, I trusted in myself that like, no, I got this. Where other people might be like, oh, she's coming out too hard, right? And she might be down on herself, but she's like, okay, I have to trust in what I know myself to do. And even if people might be telling me to slow down or whatever, I know what I'm capable of, and I know what, in the end, it's your responsibility. So you know what to do that's best for you. So
Yeah,
um,
totally.
that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I loved her line. She said, like, "Why not me?" Like,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
something that I think a lot of women, even if we project confidence or we're doing great stuff, maybe men too, I don't everybody has a little self-doubt
yeah,
once in a
yeah,
while, some of us more than others,
yeah,
and especially when you're, like she is doing something that no woman has done before. Like,
yeah,
no woman has won that race before, and
yeah,
like, in my case, as far as I know, I'm the only woman-owned backpack business. Like,
yeah,
all the other gear businesses for the big 3 are all owned by men,
yeah,
So,
yeah,
there's, like I'm gonna do things a little differently and to
yeah,
trust that, like, different doesn't mean wrong. Like,
yeah,
different could be great. Different might mean actual leadership.
yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. And she crushed the course record too. I think by like 4 hours or something.
I
So
saw, I think, like,
ah,
all 3 of the top people broke I think all 3 of the
he-
top women broke
yeah,
course records.
yeah,
Yeah. Amazing.
it's wild. I,
Yeah.
I feel sad that someone passed away this year on the trail too. So I just heard about it like yesterday, and then I was like, man, it's got to be hard to run that knowing that someone has died on the trail. But she crushed it. So my wife was like, you're not doing 250 miles now. You can do 100, that's fine, but I think the sleep deprivation might get me
Yeah.
and hurt me.
Okay.
So,
Well, we'll see you in Leadville next year then, huh?
yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much, and thank you, for being a part of the show and talking so much and being so open about everything. And everybody, thank you much for listening. We look forward to, having you all, hear us next week with our amazing guests, and thank you so much, Sarah. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Super fun.
Bye.